impacts and environmental impacts. And from the slide, we can see under the economic impact, it's increased access to market because the food is wholesome. It also reduces production costs when you embark on good agricultural practices. It will not allow you to spend money anyhow. In the course of procedures, we will understand better. It also improve the yield of agricultural produce. Under the social aspects, it encourages discussion and sharing of ideas among all the stakeholders. It helps all the co-learning to bring information together. That is the social aspect of good agricultural practices. Under the environmental impact, it increases the quality of the soil because the soil factors will be taken into consideration when you are embarking on good agricultural practices. It also avoids the water pollution. It also it reduces the earth hazard in food. That is the environmental impact. So before we can get quality food, we need to embark on good agricultural practices. Now, the procedures for good agricultural practices. There are some pre-cultivation activities that need to be carried out before you embark on good agricultural practices. And that is the farm site selection. There's something called agroecology. Agroecology is simply defined as the application of science to understand elements of ecosystems, such as soil properties, plant and animal interaction in a particular area. You can agree with me that we have some few crops that can be grown in all the agroecology zones in Nigeria, but you have to pick a particular zone where this crop has comparative advantage over the others. Otherwise, you will not realize economic yield. So if you want to embark on the agriculture, have the crop at heart, select a good agricultural zone where this thing can be grown. Probably it will be grown without spending much money on a pesticide or any other thing that has advantage over the other. So you need to do that before embarking on the production. Another thing is topography of a particular place matters. We have some crops that can thrive well in a valley because they are water-loving crops like rice and sugarcane. So if you grow any other crop that doesn't need much water in that valley, you will not get the quality and the yield expected. So we have some crops too, when they are growing in the valley, the surrounding farm located on the hill can bring influx of chemicals and water into that valley, and it will destroy the yield. So topography is another factor that needs to be considered. The topography simply means the shape of the land where you want to carry out your farming activities. So having selected good sites, you still need to consider the soil. Soil is the basis for the sustaining plants and animal life. In fact, everything depends on the soil, and you need to carry out the soil testing before embarking on agriculture. You must know the earth status of your soil. The components, the nutrients that are available need to be studied. The essence of even carry out the soil testing also is not only the nutrients. We have some soil that have toxic elements. If they are located in a place that is very close to the mining area, the rainfall, the flood can bring the elements that are toxic to plants to that land. We have like arsenic, has affinity for rice. A place that is full of arsenic, if you grow rice, it will render this useless. It will affect the quality. So you have to know the toxic element, whether it is present or not in a particular place. So soil testing is very important. Not only that, we have some soil-borne pathogens, pests and pathogens. If they are in a place and you grow the crop that they are easily affected, you will not get good yield. For instance now, when a soil contains bacterial blight and you use that soil to grow tomato, you will not get anything because tomato is highly susceptible to bacterial blight. If a soil contains Scutulema nematode and use that soil to grow yam, you will get big yam, but of low quality because everything will be spoiled. So you need to know the status of your soil so that it will help you to get yield of quality. Another thing that you need to be considered apart from soil testing, you need to carry out the soil management because you need to sustain the nutrients in the soil. If it is not really managed well, it will be depleted. The nutrient will be depleted, and as time goes on, you will not get the expected result. And there are other things that we need to do under the management. You have to control the erosion because erosion washes away the nutrients out of the soil. At times, the nutrients may be present in the soil, but because of flooding and everything, it might not be reached by the plant roots. It will be leaching. So you need to have a way of control the erosion so that the nutrients will not be washed away. Soil mulching, proper tillage. You must not be over, we have zero tillage, we have primary tillage, we have second tillage. You must understand the soil that you are working on because it can lead to, over tillage can lead to soil compaction. And when the soil is compacted, the aeration will be very poor. Soil water and other things will not be available for plant use. So these things need to be considered when you are carrying out good agricultural practices. Most of these things are neglected by farmers, and at the end, our yield will be affected. So that is why I define the good agricultural practice as holistic approach for agricultural production. No stage should be abandoned, and we need to do it in a way that we really bring positive yield for us. After this thing has been done, you have to move again and see how the seed, because what you take down to the soil also very, very important. When you have quality seed, it will give you the quality yield. In fact, the amount you put down into the soil will be very low because low rate of seed will be required for planting, and then you get good germination percentage. Some seeds are resistant to a particular pest in a particular area. Look for that seed in order to get the economic yield. So seed, quality seed, also very, very important. Some farmers, they always use the seed that are affected from previous crop, and that may not be viable enough for you to get the yield expected. So that is all about the seed. It's very important. You have to consider the quality seed when you are backing on good agricultural practices for you to get the yield expected of you. And after that, with planting. Planting is also very, very important. It has to be timely. The reason why we plant at the right time is to escape the life cycle of a particular pest. Most of these pests are seasonal. They come at right season, at a particular season of the year. If you plant late and the pests are available, maybe at the maturity of your crop, they will destroy everything and you will not get anything. So we have to plant at the right time in order to escape the life cycle of the pest. And planting has to be in the right species. Some people, they want as many seeds on the ground so that they can get yield. No, because of competition with air and water may not allow you to get the good yield if there are many. So when you plant and you see that there are many in the upper stand, you need to thin to remove the weak ones. And if maybe there's a gap that is failure in germination, you need to supply. That is when we get to the seedling, we explain that one better. So irrigation too, most of the crops anyway are grown in the rainy season, but if there's other ones that need to be irrigated, you don't just use the stagnant water or the river that are not really flowing well to irrigate. In fact, it's even advisable to sink borehole and have the water tested, because there are some water too that can hurt, that can cause problem to our to the crop. For instance, in fact, in our place, if we want to really bank on the vegetable production, we advise that you sink borehole, because most of our waters, rivers, everything, there are a lot of animals that are also polluting them, polluting the water, and if you use that water that is polluted to irrigate crop, the harmful organisms, especially bacteria, will be observed when it is analyzed. You may not be able to see it with your naked eyes, but when it is passed through the required analysis, all these things will be fed. So quality water is very important for irrigation in order to get a quality yield. And the seedlings, after the emergence, after the germination, you have to make sure that you do the needful to make sure you fill the gap area so that the quantity that you're supposed to get per hectare will be realizable. And the weak ones too can be removed if there are too many per stand. It's not the matter of many crop per stand that will give you the yield, because they will compete with each other and you will not be able to get the quality and the quantity. So after this, we still go further and do some cropping system. The cropping system, it has to be done in a good agricultural practices. There are ways by which we have to carry out our cropping system to sustain the soil, nutrients, and to prevent the depletion of the nutrients in the soil. Some of the cropping system that is expected of good agricultural practice is crop rotation. Even when you plant a particular crop, now the one that we follow has to be different. We have some crop that they are heavy feeder of nitrogen. They are nitrogen consuming crop. Any one that we follow has to be the one that is less, that can fix nitrogen in order to sustain the nutrients in that soil. It's a good agricultural practices. That one will even prevent the over-fertilization. You will not be using chemicals which are very injurious to our health. And mixed cropping is also allowed. If you plant the crop that maybe the one that is shallow feeder, the one that is deep-rooted feeding, they are together. That one is a way of managing the soil and managing the nutrients. When we are managing the soil, we are managing the nutrients in the soil. And the cropping system has to be patterned in such a